Alright guys, this is a budget video. Now you might be asking, Asia, after an entire year of talking about debts and loans and budgeting, how come you haven't actually done a video properly explaining how to do a budget? Well, friend, the answer to that is because you guys know I suck at staying to my budget. Doesn't make sense for me to tell you what to do when I haven't really done it correctly yet, to be honest. However, there have been a lot of you on Instagram, and actually Brian, and you guys are all starting to budget and have been asking me questions. So I decided to do this video to show you how I put my budget together. Various other ways that people have done their budget, and I'm sure that there are more people on YouTube qualified to talk about how to build a budget, but you guys are here for some reason. So let's do step-by-steps as to how to build a budget, how I built my budget. The first step, I think, in order to build a good budget for you is to understand your situation. You guys know that I get budget tips from Dave Ramsey. You guys get advice from me, but ultimately, a budget is very, very personal. So the advice that I'm getting, the advice I'm giving you, you guys should all take that and process it, understand it, and listen to it. But also know that my budget is very particular to my situation. Dave's advice is very particular to where he came from and where his situation was. So there's that. Just because I'm letting you know where my numbers are and how I'm dividing up my budget doesn't necessarily mean that that is right for where you are in your life. So just pay attention to what I'm saying, but if you feel like you need to make adjustments or tweaks to it, then go right ahead. Now that we talked about that, step 2 is down to the nitty-gritty, and it is to get every single financial statement that you have and pile it onto the table. Bank statements, investment statements, utility statements, anything that has any source of income or expense on it, you need to go ahead and take a look at that. When I started with my original budget in January of 2017, or was it 2018? Yep, 2018, just last year. How crazy is that? What I did was I went through my bank account. I checked out my main bank account and I looked line by line for the past 3 months. And I'm going to tell you that doing that, really looking detailed at your bank account, is incredibly scary. It is the most serious thing that I've ever done because it really it forces you to realize where your money is going. October, November, December of 2017, when I was building my budget for January 2018, because then like some months, December, you spend more money for gifts. Maybe in November something happened and you had to go to the doctors. And maybe October, it was just a really easy month in which things were, easy breezy. So I took the average of those months and kind of built my budget around there. And then as I did that, I broke my expenses down into 2 categories. And I'm gonna go ahead and link my current budget in the description box. So if you wanted to follow along with me, you can go ahead and open that and see what I did. I split them up into, this is weird, 3 categories. Income, that's one category. And you guys know I have different avenues of income. So everything where I received payment went into the income. Then I did monthly responsibilities. Now, monthly responsibilities to me are payments that happen consistently every single month, and most of the time they are auto debited. Now the other sections I just split into other, because those are just things that you spend money on every single day. Groceries, food, personal items, home items, transportation, anything that you spend your money on a daily basis. Give it a name, give it a group, and it'll help you better organize your life. Okay, so the next part you need to do is figure out your monthly income. If you get paid the exact amount every month, then you're good. You already know what's happening. You get, let's say you get paid $2,000 every 2 weeks. Well, then your monthly income is $4,000, and that's perfect. Okay, you don't need to do anything else. Now, for those of you who are freelance like myself, this is going to be a little bit more tricky, but there is a way for you to figure out, at least for budget's sake, how much money you should budget around. So what I did was I looked at my monthly income and I figured out what the lowest month of income was, and I based my budget around that. So let's say I averaged about $5,000 a month. I had a high of $10,000, but a low of $4,000. That low of $4,000 is where you want to base your budget off of, just because if you have a $4,000 month or you have multiple $4,000 months, at least you can pay your bills. If you have more than $4,000, then cool, you have a little bit more money to play with. You toss way more money at your loans, or maybe you treat yourself to a dinner, whatever. Don't go crazy. All of that, most of that should be going to loans, but if you make a little bit more money and you have a little bit more money at the end of the month, go ahead and treat yourself. You guys know I'm a very big proponent of that. As someone whose income fluctuates monthly, I feel that's probably the best way to go about figuring out your budget. Take your slowest month and use that as the base of your budget. So next, you total your monthly expenses with your monthly income. Ideally, your income should be more than your expenses, but sometimes your expenses are more than your income, and now you found out where your problem is. So I talked about this in my January budget video, and it's the monthly budget expenses percentages that Dave Ramsey showed on his Instagram page. And let me pull it up actually. These are the breakdowns, and honestly, you guys know I've shared this and you guys see my budget all the time. I wasn't really sure what a good, how to break down my budget personally. Breaking down your budget according to the percentages that Dave showed us is probably the best way to figure out what is the best amount of money to spend per category according to your income. If you want to switch things around, like maybe you don't do giving until you're debt free, then that's cool. That frees up another 10% for you to put someplace else. Or maybe you don't go out at all, so you can use that 5 to 10% from recreation to put someplace else. So you can definitely adjust things from this monthly budget percentages breakdown. Adjust things to fit your lifestyle. So I think the combination of doing a 3-month breakdown of where your expenses have gone, and then using the monthly budget percentages to kind of figure out a good balance between what you have spent and what you need to spend is a really great way to figure out your budget. So once you get your numbers finalized, I wanted to show you my new budget if you haven't already seen it. So you guys, of course, all of this information is in each and every one of my budget videos, so you can always circle back to check it out. On the left-hand side, you can see all of my income, and then my monthly responsibilities, and then my other sections. All of your income sources, not just your main income. If you got a side hustle, if you got, I don't know what you got, but if you're making money in multiple places, be sure to add all of that in your income section. Under this, I have my monthly responsibilities. Of course, like I said, this includes rent, for me, Squarespace and Adobe Premiere, and on occasion, my merchandise line. And like I said, if you have like a utilities bill or phone bill, that all goes under here. A subcategory to my monthly responsibilities is my grown-ish category, and that's where I put my student loans. If you have student loans, credit card payment, that also goes under responsibilities. And be sure to put your monthly minimums in each line. This is actually only $1,600. So next to my student loans, my minimum that I have to pay every month is $1,600. I get that automatically deducted from my account. Remember to put your monthly minimums in your loan section. So again, at the very least, be sure to pay that off, and any extra income you come into, throw that at your loans. I don't have life insurance. Health insurance, I already paid, I think, for the year maybe. And then car insurance, I pay every quarter. So I'm done with that. That's why I guess in March is when I pay my car insurance again. Here we go to the other miscellaneous expenses. All of these breakdowns are according to the pie chart that I showed you earlier. Okay, so here is my old budget from August to, I guess, November. And then, my net income was always more than my expenses, thank the Lord. So ideally at the end of the month, after you pay all your bills, you have some left over, and you can use that money that's left over to throw at your loans if you're trying to get out of debt. Okay? But once you get a base budget, here are some of the things that I have used to help me keep on track. So the first thing that I do now is I write down what I spend when it happens in my January budget log. I find that since my job is on the phone, using an app to update my expenses, just it was a turnoff, honestly. So what I've done now is I have put a expenses chart into my planner. So every time I make an expense, I write it down in the category that it is worthy of. If you are not someone who carries around a planner, or you don't want to be bothered by physically writing it, an app that I did use is called the Every Dollar app. And basically you can connect your app, the Every Dollar app, to your bank account. You can put in your budget, and every time you use your card, anytime you have an expense, it will automatically adjust that in the app, and it will update you as to how much money you have left in your budget. Again, for me, the app didn't work. Categories got mixed up, and as someone who works on her phone all the time, it was just a turnoff. So that's why I decided to go old school with pen and paper. But if you're someone that likes the app, use the Every Dollar app. A lot of people use Mint. I personally never really liked Mint. It just never worked for me. But I also use Capital, and we're going to talk about that next. So my Capital app, you guys know I've been using Capital for a really long time. I originally started using the Capital app to help me save for mini sinking funds throughout this process. So I recently just saved enough money for my laser treatment, which I'm really excited about. A restaurant called Somni I've been wanting to go to for a really long time, so I'm saving up money through that. And then the dogs need to go to the dentist, so Brian and I are jointly saving for that one. So for me, I started Capital to just have an easy way for me to save, to put aside money for my smaller goals while I'm paying off my student loans. But recently they just launched this new thing called the Spending Sweet Spot, and it also comes with the debit card, and that has drastically helped me stay on track with my food budget. You guys know that my biggest expense, the one that I could never seem to stay on track on, was my groceries and my restaurant budget. So that's all grouped into my food budget. I could never stay under budget. Could never. So what happens is I transfer money from my bank account into my Capital account. Every week I set a spending sweet spot of $200. That's again for groceries and dining out. And then every time I use my card, swipe my card, it automatically updates in my app, and it tells me how much money I have left to spend in the week. And I find that because I have broken down my food budget weekly, it helps me better understand how much money I have left, and helps me better stay on track. I only put enough money on this card for the month, and then this keeps me on track for the week. So this has really helped me stay on my food budget. So if you're someone who can't really use cash like myself, I know Dave Ramsey says the cash envelope system, do that. That's not really realistic to me. It's easier for me to buy things online or just swipe my debit card. So having something like this, kind of like a prepaid debit card to help me keep track of my expenses, has really helped me with my budget. I hope that this made sense. I didn't really, write out this video, which I probably should have done, but those are the ways, the tools, the techniques that I have used to not only build my budget, but help me stay on track on my budget. And I know I'm like a year into this whole budgeting, paying off loan situation, but I think I'm finally getting the hang of it, because in December, I actually stayed under my food budget. There is a learning curve when you're budgeting. I mean, it's something that not everyone does, and it's a very unusual experience for all of us. So if you go up a little bit more, if you spend a little bit more than you meant to, it's okay. Just learn from that and just make sure that every month you budget, make sure that you do better than your last month, okay? Yeah, that's it. I'm Asia Dang. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you learned something. Like I said, these were the things I used and the way I did it. So hopefully it all made sense to you. If you guys have anything else to add, please let us know in the comments. I'm Asia Dang. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.